We got some breaking and startling news here on Legal AF on Thursday. The tables may have turned on Bill Pulte and on Ed Martin, who are very close to Donald Trump, but may be the subject of a criminal investigation being led by a grand jury in Maryland. So says a prime witness, Christine Bish, who has spent the last several months going on YouTube trying to declare that she found the goods on Adam Schiff, the senator, and his quote-unquote mortgage fraud. She went into the grand jury and came out and testified that the tables had turned during her grand jury testimony. She thought she was there to support the prosecution of Adam Schiff, who she's been working on in her whole conspiracy theory, dark web way. But the questions the prosecutor asked her led her to believe that she is the target of a potential conspiracy investigation led by the Department of Justice, including perhaps Todd Blanche, as to whether Ed Martin has gone completely rogue. He's the pardon attorney, the special attorney. He's the weaponization committee attorney for Pam Bondi. He's the person that could not get confirmed as the U.S. attorney for D.C., for the District of Columbia. And he's been running around trying to go after Letitia James for mortgage fraud, Adam Schiff for mortgage fraud. In fact, when they announced that the federal probe had opened against Senator Schiff and Letitia James and maybe Lisa Cook for mortgage fraud on the Federal Reserve, they put Ed Martin in charge. Now, where's Bill Pulte come in? Bill Pulte is the Nepo baby heir to the Pulte construction family fortune that bought his way into the position that he has now, which is as the chairperson of Freddie Mae and Fannie Mac, the mortgage liquidity entities that help keep the mortgages flowing in America. He has made it his life's mission to go after, on behalf of Donald Trump, at the request, I'm sure, of Donald Trump, people that are critics of Donald Trump trying to prove mortgage fraud. And we just reported in the last couple of days that there's been, like, how did he get these documents about the mortgages that he's selectively editing and releasing, which to try to prove mortgage fraud for Letitia James and mortgage fraud for Adam Schiff, the senator, when the full and complete files and testimony around them show nothing of the sort. And is there a crime? And I've said out loud on Hot Takes that there was a conspiracy involving Bill Pulte, Ed Martin, Pam Bondi, and Donald Trump. And now it looks like there may be a criminal investigation being led in Maryland by the Department of Justice itself against these two people. Oh, there's an old Chinese proverb, he who rides the tiger fears the dismount. It looks like they might be dismounting off of Ed Martin and Bill Pulte. If Christine Bish is to be believed, and I'm not sure about that, but I'm Michael Popok. You're here for a breaking news story on Legal AF on Thursday. I'm breathless because it's that important. Take a moment, hit the free subscribe button. All right, let's back up. A couple of months ago, with big fanfare and announcements, there was a press release by the Department of Justice that said there was new federal investigations and probes opened up against Senator Adam Schiff and Letitia James for mortgage fraud, and maybe even Lisa Cook. All right, where did that come from? Well, apparently, Christine Bish, a realtor out in California, got to the bottom of the mortgage fraud in her view and sent a package to Bill Pulte at Freddie Mae and Fannie Mac. He didn't even do his own research. And then he wrapped that around in a ribbon, delivered it over to Pam Bondi, who appointed Ed Martin to go run around and stalk Letitia James and Adam Schiff. Now, I got a clip that I found of Christina Bish, who's now said she came out of the grand jury and that the spotlights were on her and her possible involvement in a conspiracy. So let me play the clip of Christine Bish talking about what she found on Adam Schiff on a talk show I've never heard of. Let's play the clip.
I'm not afraid of Adam Schiff. Or he might be screaming that he has documents and he can prove whatever. I submitted a 164-page complaint to the House Ethics Committee. I'm ready to take him on and take him down.
That's right.
That's right. I hope you're successful.
Okay, now let's pick up from there. Here's what Christine Bish, who just testified today apparently before the grand jury in Maryland, had to say. She said, if they're trying, she said, I thought I was there testifying about Adam Schiff, but they started asking me questions about my relationship with Ed Martin and with Bill Pulte. Because there may be an investigation as to whether Ed Martin was not properly deputized, did not properly have legal authority to even be involved in the investigations, which would be shocking. Here's what she had to say when she came out and was interviewed. If they're trying to tie me into some kind of clandestine conspiracy, it's not there, and the best way to protect myself is to be open and honest with the public. Something's not adding up, and I haven't gotten to the bottom of it yet, but I will. Thank you, Christine Bish, for coming out and telling us what happened in the secret grand jury that you're not supposed to tell us what just happened in. But what we're trying to piece together is whether the inquiry being led by Todd Blanche is looking into the people who may have dispatched or held themselves out to witnesses as being involved with a Department of Justice mortgage fraud investigation. That's a big no-no. You can't say, hey, why don't you talk to me? I work for the Department of Justice, when you may not actually do that. And how did Bill Pulte get all the information and his role on it? Now, my first reaction when I heard this was, I think somebody's going to get fired in the U.S. Attorney's Office in Maryland. Because if they just went off half-cocked and started asking questions about this to embarrass MAGA witnesses, well, that's not going to go well. So we have to follow this story and see if this really is being originated from the Department of Justice and it would be shocking. Bill Pulte is like this in terms of his tightness with Donald Trump. I mean, he is Donald Trump's chief pit bull to go after his critics from his perch as the head of Freddie Mae and Fannie Mac. And Ed Martin is a beloved right-wing conspiracy theorist lawyer that Donald Trump wanted to be the U.S. attorney in the District of Columbia, who, when he couldn't get that gig by the Senate because he's too extreme even for the MAGA senators, they gave him the Weaponization Committee of the Department of Justice, which inadvertently is exactly what it does. It inadvertently reveals in its title, I assume, what it actually does, which is to weaponize the Department of Justice. So is Ed Martin going down? Is Bill Pulte going down? I'm going to follow this story very, very closely for you here on Legal AF. But it's this fascinating reporting and a turn of events that you could not have anticipated. And we'll get it sorted out as we get new data points from people. I will bring it back to you here on Legal AF. Take a moment, hit the free subscribe button, come over to the Substack and do the exact same thing. Until my next report on this breaking issue and others, I'm Michael Popok. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.